Hi, I'm Jem. I'm a visual artist based in Govanhill. I make comics and art about my personal life, and I've been giving workshops online through the Govanhill Community Trust on topics like visual diary keeping. And in those workshops, we were generating a lot of drawings and other homemade paper projects. So I thought it would be cool to make something that could kind of hold all those little bits together. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about making collage folders. And I have an example of one that I already made. Is one I made earlier. This one is specifically to hold recipes. So I started printing recipes out because I find like scrolling on my phone really annoying, and I find a lot of my recipes online. It's an A4 sized folder made out of two pieces of A4 paper that have been stapled on the inside so that they can like hold these sheets of paper, and then I collage the outside with pictures of food, and these are mostly from an old cookbook that got water damaged in places. So I was able to find some pretty cool pictures of food to go on here. And I always used to be kind of nervous about collage because I'm very into drawing and that's what I know and that's how I express myself more naturally. And I think one of the things that can kind of scare people about collage is that it can feel a bit random, but there are some things that if you consider while you're going into planning a collage that can kind of give it a sense of purpose. Things like composition. So even though at first glance it can look like everything on here is kind of scattered randomly, the way I've tried to position the direction of objects is kind of pointing from this corner, fanning outwards. So things like this line of seared tunas heading into this opposite direction. Same with this kind of pointed matcha ice cream. There's a directional flow to the positioning of the images. And I've done things like layering images that have less of an obvious shape, putting those on the bottom. So things that have a really prominent silhouette can kind of stand out at the top and over the top of other images. So the first thing to do is to make the actual folder. And this, I wanted to make an A4 size specifically so that it would hold my recipes inside, because they usually print on A4 paper. But depending on what materials you have, you can either do this size, or if you just have the one piece of paper or you'd rather do a smaller one, you can do a single sheet of A4, and that can fold up into that folder shape. So this is another example which hasn't had any collage on it, but you can see on the inside it's got this lip. It's just been stapled on the edges, and that again holds all these little bits inside. You need to start with a piece of paper, or if you're doing a bigger folder, two of these. So for a big folder there's an extra step, and that is just kind of attaching these two together portrait wise. Hello. So you can do that with tape. So I used gold washi tape, and I stuck the two pieces together just like this, and then I folded them so that it was like a book shape, and then used a hole punch, go like down 3 times, and then I laced a ribbon through those holes. So that's the larger version. So the smaller version is a bit simpler. So you literally just take one sheet of paper and then fold it in half like a book so that the short ends meet. So that should just open up like a book, and if you're doing the larger version, you would have those two sheets stuck together to create the same book effect. And then like right on the bottom here, you literally just fold this up If you want to be really neat about it, you can use a ruler, but I'm all about speed. But it can help, especially if you're doing the larger one, it does help to use a ruler. But yeah, I've sort of just folded this little lip here. Take a stapler. If you don't have a stapler, you can use some tape just to kind of seal off these ends. But I'm just gonna staple that lip down, and on the other end as well. So it's right on the outer edge of this little booklet folder. And now there's a very quick little folder. So the lip is about an inch once it's been folded up. So now there's kind of a blank canvas here that is ready to be covered in some kind of collage. So the next stage would be to gather some collage materials, and that can be from a magazine or an old book like I used for my recipe book, newspaper, basically thinking about some of the themes like composition and color and story that I mentioned earlier. You can keep those things in mind when picking a theme. Some ideas for themes might be things like a place to keep personal thoughts or diary entries, a recipe folder or a photo folder, or like an ideas or inspiration folder, or maybe like something like a gratitude folder. Every day you like write down something you're grateful for and you put it inside, or just a place to keep like art and drawings. And then when you know what you're going to use it for, that might help you to come up with like a theme for what kinds of images you want to collect from collaging. So like I did with my recipe book, I just looked for as many different pictures of food, and it was pretty easy because I had like a tasty cookbook to choose from, like the pictures. And I also found these little nachos. They're not like the tastiest looking nachos ever. They look a little bit grey, but from far away you can't tell. And then I finished it off with stickers as well. So basically anything you have that could be on theme. I just thought the heart stickers were cute. This ribbon's pretty girly as well, but whatever. So I'm literally cutting my pieces out. Cut out lots of pieces and then just see what you have. I like to cut out quite close to the object so that you can get that sense of the silhouette. Now you need to arrange your images on the front of the folder. So think about ways to arrange them that could tell a story or an interesting composition that you can make out of the shapes that you've collected. You can add drawings once the images have been stuck down. To stick them down, I would really recommend using PVA glue, or if you have a Pritt stick, that's fine too. The good thing about PVA glue is that it creates a kind of slightly harder coating. It's like all shiny and it's got this kind of toughness to the outside, makes the folder a little bit stiffer. So I would really recommend, if you can get it, PVA glue, but any kind of glue will be fine for just sticking images down. I'm just gonna put my glue in the jar. I'm gonna use a paintbrush on the back of my image. I'm gonna put a little bit of glue so that it will stick, stuck in position with that glue that was on the back. Take the glue and just paint right onto the surface. This is going to create that slightly stiffer finish and protect the paper from getting like dirty because the glue has a kind of smoother texture to it. If there are any bits that are flipping up, just trying to flatten it there. So now I have my collage and it's still drying. This little donkey was cut off on the end, so I just put him next to the edge of the paper so that it wouldn't look weird. So try and this bird, because there was like a lot of ground, I put it towards the bottom. So try and find a logic to where you're placing things. Here is my finished folder, and I could just call it Good Things. I added some drawings just to kind of complete the image. So I added this fence here, and that kind of covered up where I lost part of this donkey's leg, and I added some trees in the background and just some little stars and obviously the title. And the drawings just kind of help to pull all of these random images together. You could finish that with the hole punch and threading a ribbon through or some string. So that's how you make a simple collage folder just from a piece of A4 paper and some collage materials.